Getting the smile and confidence you've been dreaming about, all from the comfort of your home, isn't a total mystery with Byte clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all your friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Byte clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room? It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th.
We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into the things that we've been watching and or playing recently. I'm Terry.
And I'm Mary Beth. And this week we are talking about possessed friends. Hawkins, Gay Paradise for a certain subset of gays, and a gorgeously shot pre-code horror movie.
Yeah, and I mean...
So this is coming out the week that the horrendous mass shooting happened in Texas. We're all not doing great, I'm assuming. And I don't know, fuck guns.
Yeah.
This is my professional thing. Fuck lawmakers. Yeah, I know it's not productive to say that, but sometimes it's all you can say because I feel like this was pretty avoidable at this point in America. And, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just really angry and sad, and I have baby cousins in elementary school and in middle school. Like, I cannot believe this is a real thing that kids have to fucking worry about these days. Yeah. And that, I think, is fucked me up so much.
I was thinking today that it's really sad that we haven't really had to deal with this over the last couple of years as much, simply because of COVID and being stuck at home where shit like this wasn't happening. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's very frustrating.
Well, and it's the second one this week. Yeah. Or no, not this week, but like in the almost a week, because not last weekend, but the weekend before was the shooting in Buffalo, New York, where someone just walked into a supermarket. And like, I don't know. I'm pretty fucking tired of being so sad. And like, I don't know. Like, I lost a
helpless.
friend. I lost someone I knew at a mass shooting in Annapolis when someone shot up the Capitol Gazette. That was my hometown newspaper. And like, someone I went to high school's mom died. Like, I grew up with her. Like, this shit just is insidious. And I don't really understand lawmakers at all. And I don't think it's hard to fix it. You know what I mean? Like, England, like, everywhere has these laws. And so we're going to make it hard for people to get access to abortions and for formula to feed their babies, but we're going to make it really easy to walk in and get a gun. It's just like so backwards. It's so fucking backwards. And it pisses me off. And that's an understatement, but like, I don't even know how else to put it.
I'm just heartbroken right now. And I felt that, it's just, we need to recognize that right now. We're here to entertain and talk and, you know, try to build community. But, you know, it's hard when shit like this happens. So
And we're all fucking hurting. Like,
yeah.
and I think we should at least be honest about that. I feel like we live in a society, but we live in like a society where people aren't really allowed to grieve at all, like anything. And I think we should be given the space to grieve this kind of thing. At least acknowledge it. I feel like in a lot of places, like in the workplace, people are like, well, we can't talk about politics. I'm like, this isn't this isn't, I believe that this, like, school shootings are an inherently political issue. I don't care what, like, old white guys say about politicizing it. Like, it is a political thing at this point. Like, there isn't divorcing it. But, like, I think you should at least be able to acknowledge, like, hey, I'm not doing so hot and, like, I need to take a break. And I wish that was more acceptable in this world instead of getting, like, shamed for not being able to, like, turn off your brain and be a robot.
Right. Compartmentalize everything.
I worked in a field where that was encouraged. And let me tell you, everyone that worked there was very unhappy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But we are sending love to everybody. We are sending love. If you are in Texas and in a big city, please go donate blood. They really need blood. So if you are able to donate blood, please do. We can put this in the show notes. There's a GoFundMe page for the families affected by the shooting. So please, if you have the ability to donate, please do, or at least share it if you can't donate. So yeah, just trying to do a little bit of good with the little platform that we have. Possessed friends.
We're sorry to start off on a downer, everyone. It's just, like Mary Beth said, need to recognize it and recognize how we're feeling. But something that has been good this week for me is playing Evil Dead the game.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so for those that don't know, this is a game that just came out. I think it came out Friday the 13th, 2 weeks ago. And it is a game that it's released everywhere: PlayStation 4, 5, Xboxes, the PC, Nintendo Switch eventually, supposedly. But it's kind of like the subset of games we've seen recently, like Friday the 13th, or like Dead by Dawn, or like Dead by Daylight, games like that, and where it's like one person versus a group of people. And in this case, it is Evil Dead themed, and so one person takes the control of the spirits that is, you know, summoning deadites and doing all that kind of stuff. And it's actually kind of cool because it has like the camera angles, like the camera style of in like Evil Dead, where Sam Raimi like zooms across the land. You are literally that zoomer across the land, and you can like possess, if people get scared enough, they have like a fear meter, and you can possess the people to hack at your friends. You can like possess a tree to like whack people. You can like summon portals to summon deadites. You can booby trap chests that people go to for supplies, where like those little tiny ashes from I think it's from the Army of Darkness jump out and will grab people. There's a lot of like silly stuff like that, and
I love that though. I love that they leaned into the silly with the game. I love that. It's
very thematic. It's definitely it feels like an Evil Dead. And it matches that kind of hilarity and horror. The ghost can like possess your car that you're driving, and so like everyone all of a sudden exits the car, and the car just can take off running because it's possessed. So it's just like,
can you play? So it's co-op, right? You have to play with other people. Okay, so so it's almost like that other game. Never mind, forgot the name. So you're playing with what, like 4 other people, and like you're each a person, and then you can be the ghost hunting everybody.
Yep. It's a 4v1, so it's a 5-person game. But there's a lot of modes. One of them is if you don't have a 5th player, you can play 4 people against an AI ghost that does all the stuff instead of having someone play it. You can make like private matches for just your friends. You can go public, that kind of stuff. So like, yeah. And then the characters each have their own class. There's like characters pulled from the Evil Dead movies, not the remake, unfortunately. But also the Ash versus the Evil Dead TV series.
Oh, okay.
Some of the characters from there you can play as, and they all have like classes, and they have special abilities. Like one person can heal the group. Your hunter type class can do more damage. So there's like these classes with characters, and they all have special abilities, and you're basically running around trying to find the best equipment and upgrading your equipment and trying to find a map that leads you to the pages, to get the pages, get the Kandarian dagger, and eventually like sever the ties to the world, to the spirit world. And I played with a bunch of friends, some former guests of the show. I played with Greg Mucci, who was on the show before. And I played with Freddie Carlini of Mixtape Massacre, who was on the show. And I played with a bunch of friends over the weekend, and it was a blast. It's just, this is a fun game. I have not played Dead by Daylight, but I played Friday the 13th, and I honestly think this is a much better game.
Oh, so how long does a match usually? I'm playing in a match, but like, how long does it usually take?
If I remember correctly, there's a timer for 30 minutes, and the survivors have to get everything done.
Oh, okay, cool.
In 30 minutes.
That's dangerous though, because you're like, oh, it's only 30 minutes, and like, oh, we'll do it one more time, and then you keep doing it, and then you're like,
and then it's 2 in the morning when you stop playing,
Mm-hmm.
which was me Saturday night. I started at like, I think 8 my time, and it was almost 2 by the time I quit.
But it's so easy to do that with a game like that. Because you think of friends and like you're all laughing, and it's like a sillier kind of experience.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it honestly was one of the best times playing a game recently. So shout out to that game for sure. It's surprisingly polished.
We fucking need that right now. We need some kind of thing to bring us joy.
So yeah, and if people want to play, hit me up and we'll see if I can play, because I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And it has crossplay, so anyone can play with anyone. System agnostic.
Oh.
PlayStation 5 people can, because like I was the only PC gamer and I was playing with some PS5 people, so.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so nice. I feel like that's like the biggest pain in my ass, because a lot of my people I know play PC, and I don't have a PC.
Yeah.
I don't have a good one of those. Just put it that way.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Highly recommended. But from Possessed Friends to Hawkins, I want to hear about Stranger Things, because I have not watched any of season 4, not asked for the screeners.
So I've watched all 7 episodes of Stranger Things season 4, volume 1.
Volume 1, right?
Volume 1. It's good.
Yeah, is it?
Yes, I need to finish my review, but I'm a Stranger Things fan. I've always liked Stranger Things. I'm always like binging it like when it comes out immediately. I love it, etc. I feel like it was getting a little long in the tooth. I liked season 3, but there were parts of it where I was like, uh-oh, like it's collapsing under the weight of its own kind of like hype. I'm not sure. And then the season said, shut up, bitch. And it is way more horror than we've seen before. It's like horror like the first, but even more, I think. I think they really lean into even more creatures and gore, and like the scope of this show is even bigger than it has been, because like we've always done like the interdimensional stuff, and there's been stuff going on like across state lines with 11, but this one is just so much bigger. And especially because whatever is in Hawkins is now leaking into like the rest of the town. Like it isn't just this core group of little traumatized teenagers anymore. It's like, and I have a hard time talking about it because this show does feel like 6 different movies. Like this season, it feels like there are 6 different genres of movie going on.
Oh, wow.
Which
okay.
I thought was going to be a problem for me, but it actually works really well. I think there are parts where tonally it gets a little bit confused, because like over here is one storyline that's like a Russian spy thriller with a little bit of comedy. Over here is
Right.
like Halloween Kills Satanic Panic storyline. Down here is like a ghost story. Down here is like conspiracy theory 11 world. So there's like a lot of disparate storylines, which again I know is not unusual for Stranger Things, but here it does feel like different genres of movie and horror movie kind of branching off, but they're all starting to come together at the end of 7, because obviously we have volume 2 in July,
Right.
but they start coming together in a really interesting way that I was really surprised by. Because the first 2 episodes, I was like, okay, cool. The kids are in high school and they're sad. Like, what's going on here? Well, that's what I thought it was going to be. Like, you know what I mean? They were like, the kids have had trauma. I'm like, yeah, these kids have seen some shit. Like, these children have gone into other dimensions. One of their friends is a psychic government experiment. Like, and they're just going to high school. Like, everything is fine. Like, that always makes me laugh about this show.
They think the father figure is dead. Like, there's a lot of trauma.
And they're just, like, talking about, like, how casually, oh, yeah, we were at the Battle of Starcourt Mall, and, like, this thing came out of the ground, and now we're just, like, going to go to basketball practice. Like, it is a little bit silly at first, and then it subverts that really quickly, which I was happy about, because I was like, is this going to be cheese? Because, like, it can very easily get into cheese. And I think the first 2 episodes are, like, kind of cheese, like, have the, like, the cheesy elements. There's obviously horror, but, like, I think it is a little bit leading into, like, high school. And then that all goes away pretty quickly. Thank God. For me, I was happy that happened. But it's got, like, Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street vibes. Like, we're going into people's heads and dreams and shit, like, tapping into their biggest fears. It's really good. I was really surprised how much I liked it. Yeah, and then it's like, it's the only thing I watched this week because every episode is like increasingly long. Like, we all saw the run times on Twitter. So every episode was like, it's almost watching a movie. And so I was like, I don't have time to watch anything else but Stranger Things, but I wasn't mad about it. So highly recommend. If you're a Stranger Things fan, obviously you're going to like it. If you have been kind of, and I don't know about you, Terry, I don't know like where you are, but like if you've been kind of like, Stranger Things, I don't know where it's going kind of thing. Like, it's kind of like wearing away its welcome. What is that fucking phrase?
Overstaying its welcome?
Overstaying its...
Yeah, I was like, wait, that sounded right, but it wasn't quite right. Uncanny valley almost of words.
It could... I was feeling like maybe it was starting to overstay its welcome a little bit, but with the 2 or 3 years since it's passed, 3 or 4?
It's been 3. I think it's been... Didn't it come out in 2019? Didn't the last one come out?
Yeah, because I was still in Chicago. I was moving back from Chicago just after I finished season 3. So that was 2019. No, not 2019. That was 2018.
Chapter 1 of season 3 started in July of 2019.
No, it was 2019. I get 2018 and 2019 all mixed up in my head constantly. So it was 2019.
So it's almost 3 years.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, they used that time to really put something pretty epic together. I will say that Will Byers' costume design is a crime against humanity with his weird haircut, and he looks like a full-grown man. Like, most of them don't have this problem, but him and Eleven, like, someone just really did those guys dirty. It was like, he just looks so bad. He looks like such a weirdo. Please give him a different haircut. But I was very surprised how much I liked it.
I'm glad to hear it's good. Because, like, I love season 1. I did not like season 2.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I did not like season 2. Season 2 is where they introduced someone from, was it New York or Chicago or something like that? Where, like, they
where Elle,
other
like,
people with powers.
Yes. And then was season 3, was that Sean Astin was in season 2, right? Was it Bob, the boyfriend?
Yeah, I believe Bob was in 2.
And then season 3, I get that all runs together, and they all, yeah.
And season 3, I thought was like got it back on the right track, and I really enjoyed season 3.
Okay, then you'll really like season 4.
So I'm looking forward to it. That's kind of one of my weekend plans this weekend is to just binge watch me some Stranger Things.
And it's easy to binge. I mean, like, it's always easy to binge watch, but like this one, I was like, I have to know. So that's Stranger Things season 4.
Awesome. I'm excited.
One more thing. It does feel like everything from season 1 to 4 is like, it's all kind of circling back on itself in a really interesting way. Like, they're taking all of the seasons and slowly bringing everything that's been going on together.
Okay.
Because I think the season 5 is the last season, but I think I'm very interested to see how they're bringing everything full circle, and it's all kind of starting to make even more sense.
Cool.
And so, okay, so let's go from Hawkins, Indiana to a gay paradise. That's Hawkins, Indiana. I don't think is a gay paradise, but what is this? What is this piece of media about a gay paradise?
Okay, so especially after, everything that's been going on, I wanted something light and hopefully frivolous to watch. And so I had a screener for the upcoming Fire Island movie, which is hitting Hulu a week from the day this episode releases, but the embargo is up, so I can talk about it.
I'm forgetting the trailers in my inbox, and I was like, I love it, but like this is not for Dread Central. Like, I don't think that this is perhaps what our audience is looking for. But I love that it exists.
Yeah, so I've seen the trailer, and I did not care for the trailer, and so I was a little anxious about seeing the movie because I wasn't quite sure what we were getting. Because here's the thing: Fire Island, I've never been, but it conjures up images of rich, entitled, white, abs, handsome, sex.
It's like where all the hottie white rich gays go to hang out.
Exactly. And so I'm like, is this movie gonna even speak with me? Because I'm not like, this is not my people. This is not my subset of queerdom. But we're following a group of people that probably feel they aren't welcome there. So there's Howie, who's played by Bowen Yang from SNL, and Joel Kim Booster, who is an Asian comedian in LA. He wrote the script and he is in it. It has Margaret Cho as their sort of like den mother that owns this house that she bought out of like a settlement with some fast food chain that she found glass in her food or something. And so she used that to buy this property on Fire Island. She is like the kind of lesbian den mother for this group of gays.
You know what? Exploit capitalist America and do that shit and make yourself a gay, beautiful compound. That's
exactly
what I like to see.
And of the group, there is like one token white guy and the rest are Asian, and Hispanic and Black. There's
they're
one
so
of the guys.
hot.
So that is the thing. So like
sorry.
this definitely.
I'm sorry. I think it's the poster and like they're on like they try to make them look like they don't fit in, but they're still really hot. But that's not a bad thing.
No, I mean that is the trailer to me was like, okay, yeah, these characters are like trying to be the opposite of what is typically associated with Fire Island, but they are still very conventionally attractive people. And aside from one character, and I mean, Bowen Yang is a little chubby, but like these are still, for the most part, very fit people. But yeah, so the only reason that they are able to go to Fire Island is because of Margaret Cho's house. And so they go visit her, live on this island for a week, and it's sort of like a gay paradise for them, even though they are free to admit that they don't fit in. And there's like a couple scenes where they go to a rich person's house and everyone is like, who are you? Because they're all literally hot, fit, white, entitled rich people staring down at this group of people that are poor, and they're like, we're not poor, but we're never gonna be able to own a house kind of poor. Like that is what they establish as one of the.
That is such a relatable kind of poor. Like, yeah. Like, oh, I can pay my rent and like I'm eating, but like I don't have more than that.
Right. Exactly.
And so
it's this, but it's also an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, and so you have like.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's basically Pride and Prejudice, where Noah, the character played by Joel Kim Booster, is narrating the events, and we're following him, and he's sort of like I want to have sex with everybody, and he has his friend Howie, who is like, I just want to be a romantic and find love. And so his idea is that Noah's idea is that he is not going to get laid until Howie gets laid this weekend or this trip. And then Howie meets this handsome white dude who is conventionally attractive and is played by you never watched You, right?
No.
So James Scully was in You. He played 40, which is one of the characters in You, and he is the doctor who.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm looking at pictures to like to enrich my understanding, and he's a cutie.
Yeah, he's really hot. He's very attractive. He really is. This whole cast, I was like, you all are just way too cute for me. So yeah, so Howie finds this guy and he's trying to figure out if he's interested in Howie. And meanwhile, Charlie's friend Will, who is played by Conrad Ricamora, who was in How to Get Away with Murder. I don't know if you ever saw that. Okay. But he was in that. Yeah. And he is the standoffish like friend that's like no fun, and he and Noah start like bickering back and forth, and of course everyone's gonna get together and yada yada romance. But it's basically Pride and Prejudice set at Fire Island, and it's a lot of fun.
I love gay Pride and Prejudice set at Fire Island.
And some of the reviews for this, like, it puts the Pride and Prejudice. I'm like, no, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I had a visceral
You sure
physical
did.
reaction to you saying that to me.
I literally just saw a headline that said that, and I was like, no, let's not do that. You're not
Let's not say
clever.
puts Pride and Prejudice, though, because anyway, you know what? We all get it. We don't need to explain it. Oh, that's so exciting. I'm so glad it's good. I'm glad that we're getting is it considered big? I feel like it's been getting a decent amount of attention.
Yeah, it's a Searchlight picture. I'm a little sad that it's not getting like a theatrical release. It's going straight to Hulu.
Okay. Because is it the Billy Eichner like buddy thing? Like everyone's talking about that one being like the big.
I cannot wait.
That's right.
Yes. Oh my God, I cannot wait. The trailer for that had me like sold in an instant. I cannot wait for that to come out later this year. But yeah, Hulu next week, Fire Island. Watch it. It'll do your heart good.
Yes. More gay, cute comedies. Is it cute? Like, is it cute? Like, it's like sweet, right? Like, it's
sweet.
just kind of.
It's funny.
Good.
It's sweet. Has a little bit of sex in it. Like, it's there's like a couple big sex scenes, but like, yeah, it's cute. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Definitely R-rated and very
Love
entertaining.
that. Hey.
A lot of abs. For as much as the movie wants to make fun of this culture, there's a lot of abs in it.
Well, I mean, they know what a lot of the gays want to also go see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And
know.
it is queer Asian written and queer Asian directed.
and that's what I also was going to say. Like, looking at this cast, it's like two gay Asian leads. Like, come on. We don't ever see that. Like, so regardless of the quality, I feel like fucking hell yeah, like we're getting these kinds of movies made. And like, I wish it was getting theatrical, but also at least it'll be on Hulu and more people can see it. Because I feel like people are taking Hulu even more seriously now. I feel like it's getting, in terms of like their original content, like I think they're blowing Netflix out of the water right now, in my opinion.
A lot of places are right now.
Well, yeah, Netflix is really shit in the bed, but whatever.
Hey, I'm just happy that Netflix renewed Heartstopper for 2 more seasons, because that was the queer show for my heart. So I'm glad that that's at least getting 2 more. But yeah, this week from today, go watch.
Yeah.
Be merry.
And Andrew Ahn is a really awesome gay Korean American filmmaker, and he's directing this. So
Yeah, he did Spa Night.
well, I'm so glad it was good.
Me too. Okay, so let's talk about this horror comedy. There's definitely comedy to it.
I'm glad you say this. I'm glad. Okay, we'll talk about that. But I was like,
But what did we watch this week for our horror, and I'm putting this in quotations, comedy movie?
so we watched The Old Dark House, the 1932 original, directed by James Whale, which is a pre-code horror movie, pre-Hays Code. So it was a little bit more risque than, which it is. We'll talk about
It
that.
surprised me.
I know, but so the film takes place in an old dark house. 5 strangers during a really bad storm take shelter in this house they find. It's 2 groups. It's a group of 3, and then a husband, a wife, and their friend, and then
Their friend.
Friend?
I just did a Faye move.
friend, and then another guy and his companion, who is also a man, with his female companion, who he is very platonically with.
She's also a chorus girl,
Yes.
and implied that she's a sex worker
Yep.
of sorts.
And it's amazing. And they this is weird. The house is owned. Well, it's owned by a very strange brother and sister. And
Whose last name is Femme.
Femme. I was fucking dying. I was like,
This
this
movie is
so,
gay.
This is so gay. This movie is so fucking gay. A weird brother and sister duo. The brother is Horace. So there's Horace. Then there's his sister, Rebecca, who is deaf as a doornail. And then there's Morgan, their servant butler, who is played by Boris Karloff. And he can't speak. And as the night goes on, weird things start happening around the house. And it is the exploits of this group trying to understand what is going on in this old, dark house. First off, this is the most British horror comedy I've ever seen, because it's like it's got like these dry moments that are funny, but it's not, compared to Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, 2 very different brands of comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Very different. Like Abbott and Costello is like very much like sight gags and playing into like very kind of like when you think of comedy. And
Yeah.
then this one is, I think, much more little bit more cerebral. I think it tries to be much smarter with its comedy. I think it's a little bit more like comedy and like satirical elements more than anything else. Like it feels very satirical rather than like straight up like a comedy.
Right. And it kind of took me by surprise because there when it opened up, there was the dialogue was very snappy and it was back and forth. And I was like, okay, I can see this as being like, because it made me chuckle a few times. There's like the car ride where they're going through the storm, and the storm is really well done, by the way. Like I was surprised at like how good this movie is. Because I'll be honest, I've watched some movies because this came out in 1932, and Dracula came out in 1931, I want to say, and Dracula is very theatrical in that it feels like you're on a set for a lot of the movie. And this like opens up and it's very cinematic for a movie that I was surprised that was shot in 1932, considering the other movies I've seen at the time. It's very cinematic. It has like action in the beginning. There's an avalanche that almost pushes the car over. They're driving through a water that's come up to the tops of the car. They're bickering back and forth. There's like, I'm feeling this. And then they get to the house and it's like, this thing is beautifully shot. It's so dark and like gothic, and I wanted to live in this movie.
There's a scene where Margaret, who is one of like she's married to the guy driving at the beginning, and she's going to change in another room into like this ball gown and like diamond earrings, which is like tells you what time period it is. Like I was like, she's putting on her PJs and she's like putting on heels and a dress, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is people got like dressed for dinner. But Rebecca was in there with her. Rebecca, the older woman, and they play with reflections and distortion of reflections in mirrors in the creepiest way. And then Rebecca leaves the room, and it's just Margaret left.
After kind of assaulting her?
Yeah, like
there is some sexual assault coding in this movie.
Oh, yeah. But it's like this really weird, coolly, like quick edited sequence of like faces in mirrors, but like in like the seams of mirrors. So they're distorted in these really weird ways, and the faces are split, and it's gorgeous. Like it's gorgeous. Such a beautifully shot movie. Like James Whale, holy shit. Like I haven't watched any of his movies. Like I know who he was and I knew his impact, but I hadn't seen, I think, any of his movies. No, did he do Dracula?
No, he did Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, that's right. I'm sorry.
And the most famous, The Bride of Frankenstein, is like the big one.
Yes, and he did The Invisible Man too. But holy shit, like this movie is gorgeous.
It's stunning. There's and I kind of tweeted out a GIF of this, but there's an image of it's Margaret, and she's like looking outside, and Morgan's hand comes up above her head and grabs the door and just like closes it, and it's like her shock and like horror and revulsion, and then it turns into almost like, again with the sexual assault imagery where he's like chasing her around. Throwing like the table over and stuff. It's like this movie is operating with some very interesting things that like in a few years when the Hays Code comes out, they would not get away with exploring.
No, exactly. And like, so there's Pendrell is the friend of the first couple, and he is like singing, and he is like very kind of silly, and he's the joke. Like he feels like in the car, he felt like, oh, he's like the court jester that they're bringing along to like make funny jokes and stuff. Because do they explain his relationship to them at all? Did I miss
just
that?
A friend, I think.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Just their gay friend that's trying to be straight.
And then goes to the singer and is like, you want to be my beard?
Basically, will you marry me? And you know, I felt like his character felt like a stand-in a bit for James Whale, because James Whale was in the military, and there's that aspect of trying to find a beard, trying to find someone to make it seem like you're not gay. And I believe he was I believe James Whale had like a partner, and it was like he was
openly gay.
It was like a quiet secret around Hollywood. Like people knew, but it wasn't a thing. But yeah, but his character in this movie felt like a stand-in for James Whale in a way to me, just like with his history.
Yeah. And like he's trying the whole time to be like the funny, cool, calm one that makes like little jokes and stuff. And it feels like the token gay character you have in horror. Later,
except there's a lot of queer coded people in this movie, even like the femmes.
This is gayer than a lot of horror movies.
Like,
release in the last couple decades.
seriously, like Horace is the prim and proper. I at first I thought he was the butler, but he is like this prim and proper. Like he's very like limp wristed. His sister is kind of like a stereotypical butch lesbian. Like that. It seems to be like the caricatures that they're playing with here.
Watching her eat in that dinner scene where like everyone only has potatoes. Is it just everyone just has a potato?
The focus on the potatoes. Here, have a potato.
That was so, and that to me was like where comedy, like these ridiculous situations where like she's like shoving pickled onions down her goddamn throat and like tearing bread apart, and they only have little boiled potatoes on their plate and drinking glasses of water, and I'm like, fascinating, and it's so. It just like the vibe is so good there because it's just so weird. And like, it's just these people don't seem like bad people, but they're definitely weirdos.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting for the shoe to drop with this. You know what I mean? Like you come into this and you're like, okay, so one of them's going to like throw out a knife. Like Rebecca's going to like strangle somebody, right? I was like, yeah, she's going to be the great. But they set you up to expect that, I think. Like, look at these two weird-ass siblings. Like, which one of them is... Or is Morgan going to be, like, the kill... Well, he's a little bit more obvious. But anyway.
What I loved watching this, though, was it kind of putting it more into context some of the movies we would get later. For instance, Rocky Horror Picture Show, which takes the subtext in this movie and like the kind of subtle exploration of sexuality and gender and takes it to obvious extremes. Like it is literally Rocky Horror starts as this movie. Brad and Janet driving through, get in a storm, see the house, run up to it, find a fey man and his like assistant. Well, in that case, they're like butler and like maid, but like these are characters that are obviously being referenced from this movie that Rocky Horror is doing. And there's another movie from 1975 called Thundercrack with an exclamation point. And I started thinking about this movie too because like I was watching this with all the subtitles on, and every time there was thunder, it would say Thundercrack. Thundercrack would be like the subtitle for all the thunder. And I was like, okay, so this is, and that's another movie. It's more of a sexual movie. It's from 1975. It's almost 3 hours long. I mean, here's the premise of this is ridiculous. With a killer gorilla on the loose, a group of strangers find themselves stranded at a remote mansion of a grieving madwoman one dark and stormy night. They indulge in swapping bizarre personal backstories and body fluids. Like,
ew!
It's a sexual movie, but again, it is kind of a parody, an adult porn parody of Little Dark
porn?
House. I believe so.
Oh, that's why it's not on Letterboxd. It's like, where's Thundercrack?
Yeah, I believe it is. I own it. I think Synapse did a Blu-ray full copy of it, and I started watching it, and I just wasn't in the mood to watch it. So, and it's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, pornographic black horror comedy. Huh. Cool. But then, okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, aka the man locked in a fucking attic.
Yeah.
Which to me also screams queer to me as like, oh, we keep the shameful son locked away in the attic away from everybody else because he's a pyromaniac.
Mm-hmm. And in love with Morgan, maybe?
And also in love with Morgan because Morgan tries to save him.
Yeah. And cries when he's holding his body and carries him like Frankenstein will eventually carry, people in his arms. Like there's definite allusions here. And then the idea his name is Saul and he talks about Saul loved David, but Saul was afraid of David. Like there is a lot of like gay being like projected in this movie with especially with those characters.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. 100%.
And the father's played by a woman.
That's okay. I was going to confirm that because I was like, that seems... But then like, oh, the campy fucking laugh. Like the hee. I just love that. Yeah, wow. I wasn't expecting how gay this movie was.
Yeah, I wasn't either. Which is weird because last year for Pride, someone actually wrote about this movie for Gaily Helpful.
I thought someone had written about this because I remember I was like, first I had some image in my head that someone had written about this as queer, and I couldn't remember, and I think that is what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
it was C.H. Newell, who wrote for 2020, so 2 years ago. Okay. Wrote about this movie, in particular this movie and Rocky Horror, and we can, not to self-promote, but we can put that in the show notes.
We're like that shit in the show notes, my dudes. I'm editing this one. I'll do what I want.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I'm really glad we watched this for a lot of reasons.
I'm glad to finally like check this off of a box because I've wanted to see this for so long.
Oh, and I don't know, like Pride Month is around the corner, and it's kind of nice to like be reminded that queerness has existed for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the rhetoric we're seeing now, the hateful rhetoric, is that like trying to push some weird thing that like queerness and all these identity politics and I say that the way like Republicans like to say it about how like it's such a new thing and it's weird, but it's like it's been around forever.
Since the dawn of cinema, filmmakers have been talking about this stuff.
And like it's just wild. It's just like it's not even subtle. It's not even subtle. So it just like baffles me when people say, and like watching movies like this just solidifies in my head, just like, just come on. Like queer people have been making art forever. Like, I don't know. It blows the mind when people say things like that. And they're like, people just want to be queer now. I'm like,
hey, I like your shirt.
Oh yeah. Horror is queer.
Yeah.
I recorded a video for Pride Month today, so I had to wear it because...
Of course.
Duh. But that's me on my high horse. I just get frustrated. I just am so frustrated with everything, and I'm like, everything is gay. Let it be gay. What's next up on the horror comedy docket for us, Terry?
Okay, so we are fast forwarding a few years because like we last week we did Abbott and then we kind of backed it up a bit because we're like, wait, we should do this in order. But now we're jumping forward to early 50s, 1951, and covering the classic Arsenic and Old Lace, which is...
Definitely thought was an Agatha Christie novel. It's not.
No, it's not, but it is based on a play. And the play, I think I've seen the play, but I've never seen this movie. So I'm looking forward to watching this one.
I'm also very excited for it.
Who are we chatting with on Monday, Mary Beth? Whew.
So... on Monday, we are chatting with writer, director, and producer Luke Boyce, whose film Reviewer hits Shudder next month. And we talked a wild Christian propaganda film about the rapture called A Thief in the Night. I love this podcast because people pick shit like this to talk about. And we get to talk about it. And it's just so neat. And I love it. It's wild. There's a lot of discussion about religious... I don't know if trauma is the right word, but Terry, for you, it might be religious trauma.
Yeah, if you all remember, a good primer for my part of this episode is to go back and watch our episode with Robbie Banfitch where we talked about The Changeling, because my girlfriend from high school comes back in this movie. She's
back, baby. More than you would ever have expected in your adult life, Terry.
I know. I was like, good God.
She's always with you.
I thought about her more in the last few months than I have in like the last 20 years. Like, Jesus.
Thanks, podcasting, processing our trauma.
I know. Oh my gosh, but this movie is fucking wild. I really recommend maybe getting high or drinking, whatever your choice is, and watching this film. I think it's on Tubi. I think that's how we watched it.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find, which is shocking. Which is a shocking thing, but and it's also, if you have a group of friends and you guys want to watch something wild and just drink and laugh, you have to watch this one. It's only like an hour long. It's not long.
It's so short. It feels a little long, but it's very short.
It feels long. A lot of singing about Jesus Christ. So
oh my God.
Ready up those crosses, motherfuckers, because Jesus is here.
Man. But this was a fun conversation, and it was this movie, you just got to experience it.
You have to. It's incredible. Anyway, everybody, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch or play something that we talked about this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for classic horror comedies we should talk about? Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful. And seriously, if you have horror comedy recommendations between like the 50s and the 80s in particular, please get at us, because we are like literally throwing darts at a board of like horror comedy Wikipedia lists.
Yeah,
so
we're kind of like feeling around in the dark because it's neither of our expertise. And I'm glad we're doing it, but we're just like, this has a funny title. Let's watch it. So yeah, if there's anything that we really should talk about, please let us know. And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter @SquaredPodcast.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe because we are still at 95 reviews and ratings. So
I guess I don't have to tweet 100 pictures of my cat anymore.
no, you sure don't. Not
Because my birthday's tomorrow when this podcast goes up.
Yeah, so unless on Friday, when this drops, if people get out there and give us 5 more ratings, then Mary Beth will have to uphold her part of the bargain. So It's up to you. Power's in your hand and your phone.
Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please stay safe out there. Please take care of yourselves. Please rally as hard as you can against all of the ridiculous injustices happening in the United States of America. But most of all, stay creepy.
And until next time.
Somebody please think of the children!
When you want to have fun and have scratchers to scratch, there's a playful way you can do just that. Scratch with the key or acrylic nail. Scratch with the quill from a porcupine tail. Use a belt buckle from your friend Lamar. Or scratch with your pick while you play guitar. You can scratch in a bunch of different playful ways. Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What is The Briefing Room?
It's a behind-the-scenes look at how the criminal justice system works and the lives of the people within that system.
If you love true crime, well, these are the real people who do the job every day of making sure justice is served.
Hi, I'm Detective Dave.
I'm Detective Dan. Together, we have decades of experience in local law enforcement, a profession that we think is often misunderstood.
So we're going to explore how to do it right, and we won't shy away from when it's done wrong. These are stories you'll hear nowhere else. Unique, frank, and unvarnished.
From the team that brought you Small Town Dicks, this is The Briefing Room. Episode 1 drops on August 30th. We'll meet you in the briefing room.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.